You're listening to the Values and Leadership Podcast, where business leaders share their stories of purposeful impact and success.
Hello and welcome to the Values and Leadership Podcast, the podcast for innovative leaders who want to apply new ways of doing things in work and deploy their talents and time to earn their legacy every day. I am your host, Ahmed Arif. Today we have a special guest, a non-traditional guest. Usually we are bringing corporate owners, corporate leaders, but today we are bringing a doctor, which is first time, but he has a very inspiring story and he can be very helpful to business people. So that's why he is joining us. Today we have Charles Glassman, MD, and now he is known as a coach MD. He practiced internal medicine for more than 30 years. Dr. Glassman retired from his private practice in 2019. Currently, Dr. Glassman is the CEO of a startup technology company that is being developed to channel our minds to help us tap into our innate abilities so that we can achieve our destiny. Welcome to the show, Dr. Charles.
Thank you, Ahmed. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity and chatting with you today.
Great. So it seems after 30 years of being specialized in internal medicine, you discovered new things in life and you take actions on it and you started a new phase in your life. So yes. What happened?
Well, I would say it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was in development. I was when I went into practice, I started my clinical practice in 1988. And for 14 years, my practice was a typical United States kind of medical practice where a doctor's typically the type of doctor I am, an internal medicine doctor, which is really a family practice doctor for adults. Typically in the United States, those types of doctors can see upwards of 35 to 50 patients a day. And that's a busy practice. And that's what my practice was doing. And in 2002, it was particularly stressful on two consecutive Mondays. One Monday, I drove home almost in tears. And the next Monday, I was in tears because of the pressure and the anger that was in my practice, not coming from necessarily anything in particular, except for people had to wait 2, sometimes 3 hours to see me, which was very stressful for them and me, of course. So that after that Monday, a couple of days later, an article came across my desk about some new practices that were cropping up. And I jumped on that opportunity, and that year became the 10th doctor in the United States to start what's called a concierge practice, which was a practice that would specialize in personalized healthcare meaning my practice was small and the patients who decided to stay with me would pay a little bit extra for real personal on-hands care. And that was a big risk. I had a young family at the time, moved into a new house, but as I do in my life, I have a lot of confidence and faith that if I do the right thing, the right things will happen. And so for upwards of about 17 years, I had that type of practice. And along the line, as I was getting to know my patients and having time to speak with them on a more heart-to-heart level, I realized that most of the struggles and challenges, not only in people's non-medical or non-health life, but in their everyday life, their money and relationship life, stems from things that happen in our minds and our brains and what happens in childhood, and that affects our overall physical health. And I was able to really get into that with my patients because I had the time to do that. And about 10 years ago, that led me into writing a book called Brain Drain, really looking into my experience with patients, but more importantly, looking into myself. And I realized that if I could help people forge a strong mind, a healthy body, and an unshakable spirit, it would help them create a better life for themselves and those around them. And, I didn't leave after doing this, I realized I was talking to my patients more, of course, as an MD, because I would address their health issues, but also as a coach. And then I came up with the name CoachMD, and I didn't leave my practice to do that right away, because, as I would suggest to your listeners, if you have some type of calling and you have a passion and you feel that your purpose is in something other than what you're doing, don't leave what you're doing until you have a strong foundation to allow you to do that. Because in order to pursue your passion, you don't want to be burdened by having to provide food, clothing, shelter, transportation for your family and yourself. You want to have that all set before you dive into something else. And fortuitously, in November of 2019, I was able to transition from my clinical practice into going into other avenues, as you briefly mentioned, that would kind of address more my what I feel my purpose is.
So it seems you have a 17 years journey
Yeah.
to
Yes.
to do
Yes.
all of that. It
Yes.
seems a long journey. So what is the things that you have changed yourself? So was it a beliefs? Was it assumptions? What was it?
Well, I would say that I started really as I looked into myself and wrote my book and a lot of the content that I've produced over the years. All of it stems from my introspection, and I hold very much to the adage that if you're going to talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. And to me, that is the foundation of my life. And it's the foundation of what I feel any successful person must do. Um, and that kind of annoys a lot of people, because when I tell them that that really they have to look into themselves first. Most people, a lot of people look elsewhere and look at their problems in their life and kind of assign blame, if you will, to other things, aspects, or other people. When I really feel that in order uh, to reach your passion and your purpose, it's very essential to talk the talk, but then walk the walk. And so I don't think that's changed, but what has it's evolved, and it's allowed me now to move in a direction where I feel I can be more influential, uh, and more, I still have to be grounded in my life, but I can share the things that I've learned with others. So I don't think anything's really changed. I think it's just my platform is evolving, so to speak.
So you mentioned that some people like to blame other factors in their lives, but
Hmm.
you like to pursue your purpose and walk the talk. And this
Yes.
was your main important thing. So is this the thing that you do with your clients now?
Right. So right now, I am since I was in patient care and clinical practice for so many years and dealing on a one-on-one basis. My goal now is to create a to create services and products where I can reach a lot of people at once. So it's not it won't be a one-on-one where I have individual clients, but more of a larger scale. And so just kind of giving the equation that I use in my life is what I call the formula of P's. And how that goes is,
Mm,
if you if one were to wake up every day with passion and understand their purpose and persevere, and if they deliver a product that is desirable for one person, let's say, or thousands of people, if you add those up. So if you add up your purpose, passion, perseverance, and product, and multiply that by the number of people, that's going to give you a profit. So if you're providing a service or a product that is desired by people and that's helping people, the more people who will buy it or attend it, the more profit you're going to make. It's going to be seamless. And that formula of P's for me, since money is the currency of our world and it's how we say thank you. So if I have a lot of people saying thank you for the purpose, passion, perseverance, and products that I've created, if I have a lot of people saying thank you, the way they say thank you is by using the currency of this earth, which is money, and that's going to seamlessly cause an increased profit. It's not my goal. It's just the natural side effect, if you will, of that equation. So yeah, so that's what I'm trying to create is that type of platform and pass that along to other people as a viable equation to achieve success. But let's say you only have one person, okay? That profit won't be financial, but it'll be something on a level that's outside this world, more of a spiritual profit. So if you're only affecting one person with your, you take your passion, you take your purpose, you persevere and you create a product, but that product or service only helps one person, well, then you still are profitable, but it's not a financial profit. But to make a financial profit, you have to create something that extends or helps many, many people. Unfortunately, we have a lot of companies and corporations who produce products that people have needs and wants for that really aren't good for them, yet it still does follow that equation because a lot of people buy into it.
Yes, and this is what I was going to ask you next. But
Yeah,
let's first talk about your 5 Ps, because I really I like it when you
yeah,
align your purpose, passion, perseverance, and product to make profit. And you mentioned that profit means thank you, because
yes,
when people pay money, so this is when they say thank you for you. But on the other side, and this is really great, I find it very, very nice formula that you are doing. And but on the other side, when you in your last sentence you said, but there are other products that people are paying money for, and they are saying thank you, which is not beneficial to them. So how come
correct.
you can?
Yeah,
How can you adjust that? How people adjust? How understand that? How people adjust that?
yeah. Well, the way they adjust it goes back to talking the talk and walking the walk. It's understanding yourself and being honest
Mm,
with oneself. And for instance, I'll use the example of Coca-Cola. Okay,
mm,
Coca-Cola, very wealthy company, very wealthy, very profitable, produces many products, the majority of which are not very good for the physical body. I can tell you that.
mm,
Not good for our physical body. The makers of cigarettes back in the day, they're not, well, yes, they are worldwide, actually. Yeah, they're creating a product which actually does nothing to benefit. It has a slight psychological benefit, as does Coca-Cola, because it's kind of an upper with the caffeine. It gives you kind of a energy, but it's a false sense of it. It's not a healthy sense of energy.
mm,
Cigarettes or drugs, of course, a multi-million dollar, billion-dollar industry, illegal drugs, and people, obviously there's a need and a want for those. And those are people, I can tell you that they're businesses, and those are people who have a passion, but their purpose and their passion is just that's when they make money their goal. When their money becomes their object or their God, if you will, that's that kind of that's not the equation that works for true life success. The way I look at it, the way I look at it, that end product of money is the icing on the cake, if you so to speak.
mm.
It's a positive side effect. It just comes along. However, when you make money the object of it, the equation to me is destroyed. It's just corrupted.
So so you think the difference lies in the purpose of the producers?
Yes, to some extent, the produce, yes, but it's also the need and want, the number of people who are saying thank you for a product that is really not good for them, they have to look into themselves. And I'm going to use an example. On social media, one of the things that I do is I put out motivational quotes every day. And those are, most of the quotes are my originals I come up with. I think about them. And the ones that do the best are the one, and that's why I don't like to make quotes like that, because it goes against what I think, but the walk that I'm talking about, it goes against that. But I look at other sites that are huge, and their reach for their quotes, the ones that that are the most popular are the ones that assign blame to other people, the ones that talk about toxic people, that everyone else is toxic, and kind of makes the reader or the reader of that quote say, yeah, that's right. And those become the most popular. So yes, it is the companies, their purpose. That's one of the things, because they're focusing on the profit, and they're putting out something that they know people are going to say thank you for, that's not so good. But the people who are saying thank you for that product need to look into themselves and say, whoa, wait a second. Should I really have gratitude for this? Should I thank these people for this? Should I put my hard-earned money into this? So that's, so I would say, yeah, that there is some accountability on both ends, both the people end and the producer end.
This is a very great point. Now you made like a two sides, which is the producer, then the second side, which is the customer or the client.
Yes,
So
exactly.
how did you develop a solution or a product for both sides? And can you discuss that with us?
Well, what I can do is I can only create services and products that align with my vision and my mission, and that is to create a formula of peas, so to speak, which aligns with that. And so what I'm doing now is, well, my vision was in 2019, when I left my practice, was to create a company called Victor Inc., which would focus on helping people become victors in their life and have victor mentalities rather than having victim mentalities. And I had a lot of ideas for products that were, and one particular product in general, that in specific, that I feel would address that and would bring that. But it is a reality that if you're going to raise money for a startup and to deliver a product to the marketplace, the reality is you need a lot of money to do that, especially this was a tech product. I'm being a little bit evasive on it because it's still, I'm still thinking about it, not thinking about it, it's still there, but it hasn't been produced yet. So I'm being a little evasive for that, but I'm telling you how I've decided to go about getting this developed into the marketplace. We approached venture capitalists, angel investors, and of course they say, well, where's the product? Well, we don't have a product yet. It's a tech product. We're putting together a team. We don't have that. So I'm going through a different kind of avenue to, in a sense, to raise money for that, but also to kind of change my platform as CoachMD to get away from the social media and to establish more of a direct relationship with those people who are looking for someone who is sincerely trying to create a platform that is beholden to that formula of peas. And so what that means is I've looked to Patreon, which is a platform that helps creators, that helps people like your audience support creators that they believe in. And the way that they support creators is it's through a subscription model. They can subscribe to the creators, whether it be somebody like myself or whether it be an artist or a filmmaker, and they could subscribe to those as support to help them develop products and services that could help better the person subscribing, but also the world as a whole. And through that subscription, they get more, depending on the level of subscription, they get more of a contact with the creator. So I will be on Patreon come this Sunday, launching that. It's patreon.com, patreon.com/CoachMD, all one word, CoachMD. And by visiting that, you'll see that it is a way that you can have more contact with me, and you'll see the kind of content that I'm bringing to Patreon. So I'm trying to get away from social media, which I feel has become everything but social and everything but empowering, but has been much more of a platform for more or less hostilities, which is counter to what I want to create. So I want to kind of centralize everything onto this platform and bring people goods and services in a way that hopefully can eventually raise money for more products and more content. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, well, I'm still, I feel walking the walk and delivering my mission, because everything that I will put on the content is for the purpose of elevating the spirits of not only the subscribers, but giving them tools as well and resources that they can go on and hopefully positively affect their lives, their families, and their communities.
Great. So you went into Patreon, which is a crowdfunding platform, and there you meet your prospective customers, or the people who believes in the purpose and who share your purpose and who share your passion, perseverance, and they like your products, and they are giving you your thank you by their money and helping you
Correct.
to produce the products that helps you to walk your talk. So
Correct.
by this way, you reached your client side, and you reach the people who are purposeful, not only using social media for not the way that you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
go to social media for. So there you found your sweet spot there, and you started to grow your business. Correct?
Correct. Yes.
Great. So this is very good. Can
Yeah.
you share a story for someone of your Patreon who maybe from a business background, maybe he is an entrepreneur or a corporate owner for a small, medium-sized company that he benefited of your product, let's say?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. Well, a lot of times people will think that, again, it's the other guy. You know, it's my employees that need help. I have it all together. But when you take a step back and you realize we're all in this together, we may be, we're not all in the same boat, because we all have different boats and we have different life experiences, but we're all in this life together. So it's important for the business owner to realize that their challenges are well, they have to realize that they have challenges just as their employees have challenges. So I would implore the owner of the company or the entrepreneur to first look into themselves, because that's what got me in when I started this CoachMD, this avenue to go to CoachMD. When I started it, it all started with a business owner who came to me and said that he felt really good and inspired when he would talk to me in my office, but then he'd go out in his life and the stresses of his business, the stresses of his employees, he'd lose it and he'd start eating poorly, and then his medical illness would get worse. But it wasn't really the medical illness that I really needed to address. He asked me, what could I do between office visits to help keep him motivated? And so I would write him a weekly email. And that weekly email, I realized, was more about lifestyle, more about stress management, more about his relationships, more about his finances than it was about his health. And when I started doing that every week, I realized, well, this doesn't only apply to him, it applies to a lot of other people. And as I was writing these messages, I realized I was looking for for information that I could share with him. I was looking into myself. What made me anxious? What made me down and losing steam? What were the things that in my childhood, let's say, that I'm still carrying around with me now? So I would look into myself in order to help him and then help the other people. And I would get responses that, this is before my book, I would get responses to say, oh man, uh, Doc, it sounds like you're writing about me. And I would respond, said, well, I'm actually writing about myself. So I would say that the business owner can learn just as much by seeking personal growth information, which I'm putting out a lot of educational videos that address mind, body, and spirit. They can take what they learn and bring it to their employees. I think that so often there's a feeling that the employers are up on top, the employees are down on the bottom, and they don't really, there's no connection. Their problems are not my problems. But in a sense, since we're all human, we all operate on we all operate in the same dynamic, and our brains will cause us to fight or flee the same way as anybody else. It's just that the dangers and challenges may be different, but the reaction is exactly the same. And I think it's important for a business owner, to realize that.
Great, great. So through education, you managed to succeed in that, educating the readers of your newsletter. They started to realize a different kind of reality, a different kind of their mindset and others people mindset, so that they started to behave differently with their employees, and they started to realize new benefits out of that and realize new reality in their lives. Correct?
Yes, and actually, one other example that came to mind, as I was doing that, I was sharing very personal information, and I came up with a saying that vulnerability is my greatest asset. And there was an experience with a very wealthy hedge fund owner who was a patient of mine, who shared with me his experience that people were afraid to come to him. He's just, they were scared to talk with him. But one day he was together with his, inner circle, and they were talking about a situation, and he actually didn't completely break down, but he had tears in his eyes and cried a little bit. That word got out to the rest of the company, and he was devastated and embarrassed. But it turned out that was one of the best things to happen, because people saw a different side of him, and it was much more of a relaxed atmosphere. And he wasn't being there, nobody was taking advantage of him. He was actually stronger. So when I say vulnerability is my greatest asset, it doesn't have to be a weakness. It could actually be a sign of great strength. And for somebody to be able to do that, and this person, his business actually grew after that happened. And people actually worked harder and had a sense of wanting to work harder for him and the company.
Great example. I think this is very good, because now we touched on the two sides now of the equation, because you said there is the clients who pay for the money to say thank you, and there is the producers. And now you managed to give us two examples on the producer, the wealthy hedge fund owner, and the previous business owner who came to you in the early beginning, and he's the one that was sparked to you to send the newsletter, and you managed to benefit both. So now you are getting both sides of the equation. So this is really great. So I think you are now finding your purpose, and you are walking your talk from both sides of the equation. So now you achieved your maximum output, I
Right.
think.
Yes.
Great, great. Really, thank you, Coach MD Charles Glassman. It was very nice talking to you. You shared really a nice talk, inspiring talk. You touched on a lot of points which I didn't imagine in the beginning. So really, thank you for all the insights that you provided today.
Yes. Well, Ahmed, thank you for the opportunity. It's great speaking with you. And I
Great.
wish you,
Thank-
I wish
thank you.
you a lot of growth and success in your aspirations.
Thank you very much, Dr. Charles. Thank you very much.